Right, so firstly, it is the most amazing weather down here, so yeah, thanks for organizing that. So well done. Manifesting is a wonderful thing. So I find it always quite interesting how things just synchronize beautifully. So I just did a few notes on the way down here in the car, which I normally do because I've given up on doing it a few days before because it always changes anyway. And it was about trusting the process and everything. And then what did you just read about trusting the process? So yeah, surely our guides and all of them had a meeting before us, before they passed it on and sent us the memo. But what this is also about is like, yes, it's about trust the process, because this whole pandemic mania that we are having is a pandemic, okay? And I don't get political, don't worry about that. But I get energetic on this because this is what all of this is about. And it's a pandemic of fear. And yes, of course, the body reacts to it. The body reacts to everything. The body reacts to love, the body reacts to fear, it reacts to hate, it reacts to hope. That's what our body does. It is in reaction to how we perceive life. And this world, not that it was like a space of extreme happiness and everything rose-colored before somebody came up with this pandemic, but ever since it is the propaganda and everything it's shoved down our throats, so pretty much any other orifice we can find, it's all about fear. It's all about some other kind of force, people, institutions, some kind of specialists or whatever decide what we can and cannot do, who we are and who we're not. It's like control has been taken from us in very, very basic things. And with that, now 1.5 years later, where that time went, I don't know either, but we kind of like being trained into being on standby. So it's kind of like we tell you what happens next. We tell you how you can live. We can even tell you how you think. We tell you what you do with your health. We tell you who you can see. We tell you who you can touch. We tell you who you can communicate with. We tell you when you can go outside. We even tell you what is on your face and what isn't on your face, when and how you can breathe. So what this all is, it's fear. It is literally kind of like training a whole world as in like do as you're told. And of course the body reacts to it, because what it does is it moves our center out. We hand over our power. And when we feel we don't have power, we kind of like waiting on what's thrown. And when we're on standby, we don't feed our mind, body, and soul the healthy stuff, the good stuff. We are not centered, we're outside based. So this whole control about like, let me keep my flow, let me do what I need to do, and then I see what they get up with and I see how I integrate it. It's like, no, my entire being is now solely dependent on who or whatever out there claims to be a specialist on what. I can't travel, I can't do whatever, so they say. What they do not do in these last 1.5 years is like, they don't tell you about how can you boost yourself to be in the best possible space within all of this outer chaos. How do you strengthen your inner self and outer chaos? Because if we look from an energetic point of view, energy is an inside-out movement. No matter what's happening on the outside, the stronger you are on the inside, the more centered you are and the more connected you are with Source, the less likely what comes from the outside is going to shake you or affect you psychologically and physically. It's like even little things. It's kind of like we all worn out. They even have their own terms. It's this whole COVID fatigue. No, it's called fear drain. That's what this is. And everything is COVID. No, it is not. It's a different name for fear. It's a different name for brainwash. It's a different name for I have handed over my power and I didn't even realize it. Well, not everybody in this whole setup means bad. I'm not saying that. I'm not accusing the whole world of being evil. We all have different belief systems in it. But we need to take our energy back. We need to stand back into our own core and strengthen it there. It's a shedding of layers on the outside. We are not those layers. We are the core. Yet we take our core and chuck it into the layers and say, let me know which layer is next, and I react accordingly to it. Our bodies, our systems react to fear. That's why every other wave we're going to have will be bigger and affect us more, because it's accumulated fear. That's the law of energy. What you invest in, you get more of. And this is like where we say we need to trust the process, that the outer shedding of things serves something. Even right now, we might not logically understand it. But trust is not a logic thing. It's beyond the logic. This is something we decided to say, I do know, and I firmly believe that I'm part of Source, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And that is the core of it all. Everything out there is a script somebody, some people, whoever wrote. I'm not that script. It might affect me in some ways, but it ain't me. That's not me in my core. I create my energy and put my imprint on the world, not the other way around. Yet lots of us have been conditioned in the belief that that's not how this works. We tell you where to put your energy because we want to harvest the collective energy. And fear is the best tool. I mean, the history has been written on that. That's not the first time this is happening. So this is like, trust the process out there and start building in here. Bring it back home. We're all in reaction mode. It's all like, I don't have control. No, you don't. Not over the things you want to have control right now, yet maybe not in the first layer, but in every other layer. So we look at what we can't do right now instead of saying, okay, there is A, B, C, I have less say in, so let me concentrate on the rest of the alphabet and really pump it in there, because that's what I have to say. There's over 20 letters in the alphabet, and I'm arguing over 3. Instead of pumping it in over 20 others, which will make a fundamental difference who I am and what I can bring to others and what can bring to the world. And yes, we can become fear resistant. And with that, we can actually build our own antidotes or vaccines or whatever you want to call it, way better than chemicals. Because it's an inside-out thing. The body is in reaction. And if we become more fear resistant because we know who we are and what we are, what our power is and where it lays, the body won't react to it. It's that simple. The body is in reaction. And if you look at it, what really went up in this whole pandemic, and lungs also being affected, means I'm not taking life into its fullest anymore. Of course not. Fear stops you from doing that. That's why it's the lungs being affected. The lungs are where the fundamental life force air goes in and out. And that exchange ain't happening because we're not living. We're surviving, we're on standby, we're locked up at home, and even now that we could do certain things, we still don't, because now fear runs. First, people didn't want to be locked up, now you can't get them out. Oh, I'm quite comfortable at home. That's called hiding. That's called, I don't want to live anymore out there because who knows what comes next. This is being in reaction. So we've become numb on the inside because that is what fear does. Fear is exhausting. Sadness is exhausting. Worrying and anxiety is exhausting. You can sleep 10 hours, you wake up, you're exhausted. Because it's not that kind of exhaustedness. Constantly being set to the frequency of fear sucks the living daylights out of you, literally, mind, body, and soul. That is the law of energy. So yes, there's some medical stuff going on, whatever, there will always be some medical stuff going on. Yet if we go back, like if there's flu in the office before we had this whole pandemic, how come not everybody gets flu? That's weird. Some people always get the flu when the flu goes around. Other people never get the flu. Some people are like, no, I've got a strong immune system. The belief system is different. And yes, there's some comorbidities and all of that. I'm not excluding that. But what I'm saying is what we believe is what we create and what we feed. And that is, again, the law of energy. That's even science. That's not even spiritual. Even science caught up on that one, and that means a lot. So this is saying we need to bring it back home. We need to start concentrate instead of the fear and what we can't do, and the politics and moaning and groaning. People are so aggro. Oh my word. Really? People get real scary nowadays. And that's even before you see them face to face. No wonder people don't want to come out. It's safer, not necessarily because of the virus that supposedly goes around, but when we constantly lock into the negative energy of fear, it activates our negative energies as well. And we are all made out of both. None of us is only Mother Teresa. All of us have the capacity of all energies. And no, this pandemic didn't all bring the best stuff out of us either. We all got more snappy. We all got more this and that at times. We all have to watch our nerves a bit more because we didn't have our distractions like we normally have. So this pandemic is actually a gift to check in with ourselves as well. Where am I? Where am I investing? What have I paid attention to? What haven't I paid attention to? And what was quite interesting as well is people are freaked out when they can't run around and serve others because they don't know what to do with themselves. That's the scary place to be. If I can't serve or be there for others or run around others or do overtime or this and that and run after the grandchildren, their hubby, their kids for 5,000 sports things or whatever we do, then I don't know who I am, because now I've figured out I actually define myself through that. Oops, and now you're not allowed to go to the office. You're not allowed to do all those sports. You're not allowed to compete out there. And you can't be the soccer mom deluxe or whatever it is you define yourself through. So who are you beyond those roles? And that can be scary. But it's not a punishment. It's literally like, ultimately it's a spring clean. Look at it, what's yours, what's not yours, what feeds you and what depletes you. Be more aware of what depletes us. Yeah, look at it. Then look at what is the opposite and start investing the living daylight out of what feeds you, not what depletes you. We're all stuck on what we don't want. And we get more of it because this is what we look at. We forgot to integrate things that feed us: love, joy, happiness, laughter, silliness, lightness. This is kind of like a far distance kind of like, oh yeah, that was before COVID. Now, nobody put restrictions on how you fill the gaps. That's something we volunteered. They might have said you can't be out after 10 and you have to wear a mask. But in between that, the rest of the 24 hours, you choose to fill that. And if you fill that with reading more negative stuff, or if you fill that with moaning or groaning, or if you fill it with whatever, if you feel like I will consciously use this time to fill my energy, my time, my space with love, joy, happiness, and all the good stuff that feed me to become more resistant to that or not, that's on us. Now, when I say to people, you need to have more fun, it sounds, they act like I'm telling them they need to have a heart transplant. It's easier said than done. Really? I mean, how easy is it to be miserable 24/7? We're used to it. It's the frequency we now used to it because that's the space we spend the most time in. Having fun is a mission apparently nowadays because people don't know how to do this anymore. It's the exception and not the rule. If you don't know how to do it, lend somebody's toddler, they will teach you. Because they got this right. And luckily they don't understand pandemic and stuff like that. They just do life. And surprise, surprise, kids are more or less immune against it. I wonder why. I wonder why. They don't overthink, they live. We underlive and overthink. That's what we do. Does anybody know a kid who's been affected by COVID? There we go. And why is a child's immune system so strong? not because it's only 2 or 3 years old. This is when they're actually the most prone to get all those sicknesses which they need. So they should actually catch it more. They've constantly got snotty noses and stuff. How come they don't get it? Theoretically, to what we're being told, they should get it more. Because they fill their life with all the right stuff and create their energetic immunity so the body does not have to react to it. Does that make sense? So people that generally feel a little bit more like the happy ones, that's like, yes, I look at it, but I'm not going to be consumed by it, are most likely the ones that are either not catching it or will not have an extreme way of having it that just really build the immune system and off they go. So it's not bad getting it, it's just the extreme of it that we don't want. Everything is neutral until we attach something to it. You want to have certain antibodies in your body. That's a good thing. So this whole corona thing in itself is not necessarily a bad thing. I think they organized it a bit crappy, the whole thing, but ultimately, for what it really is, it's not a bad thing. It's like anything else. The body needs to learn its immunity. So if you want to help your body, mind, and soul, because these three always work together, it's a hell of a tag team. Stop concentrating on what you don't want and start bringing in what you do want. Besides that, it's more fun. Yes, you can do that. You are allowed to do that. There is no law against it. I double-checked. You will not be fined, and you can do it after 10 o'clock at night. So really, this is the one thing they have not restricted yet. This is what we volunteered. So please knock yourself out on that one. Because this is really it. And it's the silly things. Break little routines. Do stuff that you normally don't do. Because we are creatures of habit. Eat spaghetti with chopsticks. It doesn't have to be, we always think, oh, I have to go there, I have to go on a holiday. No, you don't have to go on a holiday overseas to have fun. Sit with your family, some silly little things, and have dinner with your opposite hand. That alone, believe me, will get you quite some laughter. It's silly things, it's breaking routines, it's doing things differently to how we normally do it. It's an obvious thing that the old is out and the new needs to come in. But we hold on to, we want the old. Not all of the old was good to start with, let's face it. And we can't keep on going around and then we have this whole, like, I'm not feeding my system, but I'm going out there and I still want to be everyone else to be okay. So it's kind of like we have this like oxymoron of like, I feed the nice good stuff into everybody else and I go home and I beat myself up and like, oh, it's all this and it's all that and I'm not this and I'm not that. Like, what is this? A reverse feeding program? How is this maintainable? It isn't. Again, you need to feed here that you can feed there. So if you feed all the negative stuff here, this is what you're feeding out there, and it's not maintainable. It isn't. Something gonna give, and it will start with your physical body, and then it will start with your sanity. That was even harder to get back, believe me. What's gone up even more so than who is affected by corona and everything, all that stuff, is actually psychologically anxiety, depression, suicide, all those kind of things. So theoretically, if you look at it, that's a bit weird, seeing that it is a virus that goes into the lungs. So clearly isolation is not a good thing. Fear is not a good thing. Feeling that we're out of control because we believe in that instead of that. We need to start believing in ourselves. Building in ourselves. Let the outside world do what the outside world does. It's for us to put our imprint there. And be careful what you're drawn into. It's so easy to get drawn into this whole, oh, the government this and the government that. There we feed it again. We're not even aware of it. We need to be consciously aware what we feed. And yes, it's not ideal. The world will never be ideal. It's full of people. How can it be ideal? Everybody has a different idea of how what should be. And you know what? Nobody is wrong. But that's why it needs to be an inside out and not an outside in. And the whole thing is also, we need to have a life. When last did we have a life? When last did you have fun? When last did you love? And this whole worrying and anxiety kind of thing, this is really just us volunteering, like, okay, I just hand my life over now, tell me when I can have it again, because in the meanwhile, that means like what? No, you can't have my life. I'm not handing it over. I don't even know who I'm handing it over to. And clearly they're not making a good job of it, so hell no. So I rather do half a job myself and I know what I'm doing before somebody else that I don't even know or something else does whatever, whenever. We need to own it. And we need to invest in what we do want. We've got to try and stop fixing the whole world and fixing every person around us and fixing and getting the world and the people around us to do what we want them to do and align ourselves with what we do want, because the world is a matching system. So invest in yourself, but do it with kindness. Don't go now and flock like, I did it all wrong. What's wrong with me? No, you didn't do it wrong. You're human. It's our human experience. It's like a mixed bag of everything. Have more of what you like, have less of what you don't like. That's what it is. There's no wrong or right. Look at what feeds you and what depletes you. We don't even know what it is because we're in repetition mode. And make that conscious choice. And automatically your life will feel very different, believe me. It's this whole feed, deplete kind of thing that goes on. So be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself, start walking again, start dreaming. People don't have visions anymore. I just want to get done with this pandemic. Well, since this is not in your hands, maybe you might want to do something it is. Like, have a dream, have a vision, walk towards something. What do you want? What do you want to create? What do you want to manifest? Not what you want to stop. But we stop dreaming. Create it, make it big, make it massive. The bigger the better. Because it has the right energy. It's what we're going towards to, not what we're trying to avoid. That's where our power is, and we don't even realize it. So this is about, we need to live this human experience and not spend it on standby mode because we allowed fear to overrun. We need to get the love back, the excitement, the wonder, the joy, the curiosity. And not the curiosity who made which decision, where, whatever. But what am I doing right now with this moment in this time? How do I want to feel? What do I want the experience to be? What imprint do I want to put on my reality at this very moment? Not in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Right now, right here, which will determine that over there anyway. So put your foot down, live this life, invest in what you do want, and please have some fun. Thanks so much.